I'm not going to personally attack MrBeast in this video, but there is something that I think needs to be talked about as a society. Not just as people in the UK, but people generally in the Western world and wherever this particular phenomenon manifests itself. So, what does Live Aid, MrBeast, dog rescue videos and philanthropy have in common? It is demonstrative and performative charity. It is charity that is done manifestly in public. So somebody goes and gives £1,000 to somebody in public with a camera. Or they rescue some sort of injured dog from predators or something. Or they provide housing for their workers. Or they give loads of money to some NGO operating in West Africa that they may raise the living condition, whatever that means, of the people in, say, Ghana. Now, this is a fairly common part of our society. I think it's considered one of the highest things by at least the secular portion, and I'd say a lot of the religious people too, because it does tap into something that is built deeply into the human soul, that is the mutual generosity that we show to our neighbours. But there's a real threat in this that nobody really talks about. I don't think I've heard of anybody who's really pointed this out. Now, of course, we know that this is often exploited or that a lot of evil goes on. For instance, you only have to look up on the internet to find out about people intentionally abusing dogs so that they can make videos to tap into this human instinct. But there's something much deeper going on with this, I think. Now, a preface to this is that we have to remember that our society, for the last 50 odd years, 60 odd years, since the 1960s, has become very egocentric, very me-focused. Look around you. How many people try to define themselves? How many people are concerned with themselves, with me, me, me? This came about especially in the 20th century with the me generation. Because what this demonstrative charity often does is that it's often not intended for the sake of just helping the poor person. People for millennia have provided services for the poor, and they've often kept them very quiet. It's one of the key tenets of Christianity, and it's another key tenet of Islam. You have zakat. You have charity in a corporal sense in Christianity. People give to the poor. There were almshouses around Britain at the very least. There were places for the disabled and for orphans. These things are obvious manifest things, and these people didn't make them massively obvious a lot of the time. They didn't go out before them and blow the trumpet. But now we have things like Red Nose Day. Everyone has to wear a funny nose. Everyone has to grow a beard for Movember to raise awareness about prostate cancer. We also have the ALS Bucket Challenge. I mean, how many people really thought about motor neurone disease when they were pouring that bucket of water over their head? How many people were really not thinking about that, but rather were thinking about clout? How many people are simply doing it to appear as a good person to others? Because if there's anything that I've seen online, it's that people will aggressively insist that they're a good person, even though these people have no grounds for what actually constitutes a good person. Everyone nowadays believes they're a good person. Well, if they're so good, then how come they aren't living good lives? How come you're miserable, right? How come you're unhappy? It's because, I think, of pride, quite frankly. And I think that a lot of people take part in this kind of demonstrative charity, once again, not necessarily MrBeast, because they want to draw attention to themselves. They want pride. They want to feel good about themselves. They're not really necessarily interested in the well-being of the people in Africa. If they really were, then we wouldn't have to sound the trumpet every single time we wanted money for them, right? There's always this me, 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 me aspect. And that is a horrible, horrible thing to be. Right? That's just makes somebody a bad person just off the bat. Why is this? Because they're indulging in the greatest vice, which is pride, which is the exaltation of the self. But there's no reason to exhort yourself. You're broken, and you know you are. You don't live according to the truth. You probably don't even investigate it. You spend your time basically indulging yourself, going through Instagram, going through pornography. Everything is me, 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 me. And this is the case for a huge proportion of the population. Once again, I'd say, if this were really true charity, then it would just be sufficient for somebody to go, okay guys, I'm trying to get some money together so that these people don't starve to death, and then people will give money. You know, this is often what happens within churches and organisations like that. You know, a Muslim will give zakat because it's their religious obligation. A Christian will give charity, again, because it's an obligation, but also because there's a genuine charity within their heart. They'll keep it quiet. They won't tell people about it. But it seems to be the modern society's attitude that we always have to blow the trumpet. Why doesn't MrBeast or somebody like this just do this quietly? Why don't we just do it in silence? This was certainly Jesus' teaching. Why do we always have to draw attention to ourselves when we're doing this? Now, some will say, oh, well, we want to have fun. We want to have these fun things. Well, first of all, don't we have enough fun things nowadays? You can literally spend all your time staring at a video game. You can go out and party whenever you want in the most debauched ways possible. What reason is there to have fun, first of all? And second of all, don't you think it's a little bit discordant that you're having so much fun celebrating giving money to people who are starving to death? Isn't it a little bit unfitting? Surely something like this should be taken with a degree of seriousness. I mean, these people are dying. People in Sudan and Ethiopia were starving to death during the Live Aid concerts. Why was it necessary to have all of this singing and dancing over something so grim? Why couldn't we just say, like, guys, these people are starving to death. They need help. Can we gather some money together? And sure, if somebody who is in public believes genuinely that they can raise attention to it through that, that's fine. But I don't think that's what's going on with a lot of people. I think that the rest of how the society comports itself suggests to me that they really aren't trying to do that. And so I just leave people with this thought. Why aren't you giving people money just for the sake of it? Why do we need to just indulge ourselves in such games when there are really serious problems to be solved? Why is there the necessity of clout for some people? Does it not say that we are bad people if we do this? And so with that thought, I'll leave you. If you want to see more videos like this, please give me money on Patreon. Ironically enough, I have to keep the lights on in this house. If you're interested in Latin, I sell Latin readers through the Patreon, so if you want to get access to them, choose one of the tiers that gives them. And otherwise, please share, like, and subscribe as always. Thank you very much for watching.